In this video, we're going to look at the next iteration of solving systems by substitution. Now, number one, write it down, please. Y equals 2x plus 8, and then negative 2x plus 4y equals negative 4. What we need to see here is that we have two pieces of information and two variables, and that's what we need. Two equations, two variables. Now we can solve the system of equations, but how are we going to do this? Substitution is the method that we're going to use, and what are we going to substitute? Well, since we already have y solved for up in this first equation, I can see a very easy way to take the value that y equals, which is 2x plus 8, we can see that here in number 1, but at the same exact time, I see in the second equation that y is right here. And so what I can do is I can take this y and substitute it in right here into that y. But what does this y equal? It equals 2x plus 8. So what am I going to do? I'm going to take 2x plus 8 and sub it in right there for y. And then I'm going to have something that looks like this. Negative 2x plus 4y on the left side still equals, plus 4, plus 4. And then I'm going to take the 2x plus 8 and I'm going to sub it in right there for y. Instead of writing y, I wrote 2x plus 8 because it's equal to y. That equals negative 4. And now what do we have? We have one equation with one variable, and now we can solve for that one variable. So that would be the first step in figuring out what one of these variables is. Let's solve it. We get negative 2x, and then when we have this in front of a parentheses, we have to distribute the 4 to both terms inside. So we've got 4 times 2x is 8x, 4 times 8 is 32, equals negative 4. And then we have to combine like terms. 8 minus 2 is 6x plus the 32. Just simplifying first. Now we're going to move stuff over. Take off the 32 from both sides. So then we have 6x equals the negative 36. And then last step, finally, we just divide both sides by 6. And then x equals negative 6. So we found one of the variables. Fantastic, okay. Well, that's our first step here. First step here is to find x, or one of the variables. The next step is to plug in the value of x into the simpler equation. What is the simpler equation? Well, I would say it's this first one right here. That's the simpler equation. So we're going to take x and plug that back in. So y equals 2, and then instead of writing x, I'm going to write negative 6 because that is what x is, right? Plus 8. Now let's solve for y. It's pretty simple from here on out. 2 times negative 6 is negative 12 plus 8. That is going to be negative 4. So we found x, we found y. If we want to check it for step 3, what we can do is plug both x and y into this equation to check. So here would be step 3, check. And so negative 2, and then x would be the negative 6, plus 4, y would be negative 4. Negative 4 equals negative 4, and I just ran out of room, so that's fine. This would be 12, negative 2 times negative 6, plus 4 times negative 4, which is negative 16. Equals negative 4. Well, is this true? So if this is, yes it is. So if it's true, that means this solution checks and this solution checks. So we're correct. So step 1, sub in, solve for one of the variables. Really, that's what you need to do first, but this one's already solved for. Then you plug it in to the other equation so that you have one equation, one variable. That's step one. Solve for one of the variables, plug that variable back into the simpler equation, step two. Then check it by plugging both into the other equation, the non-simpler equation. If you get a true statement, it's checking the answers are correct. All right, let's move on to number two. So first step, really what we have to do in this one is solve one of the equations for one of the variables. Why would we want to do that? So that we could plug or substitute in a value that that variable equals into the other equation. So watch. I can see that it's probably the easiest thing to solve for this variable. Why? Because all I'm going to have to do is move over this 8y, add it to both sides, it goes off of this side, and then I've got 8y plus 4 on the right side, and then x by itself on the left side. So now I have solved one of the variables. That is the first step, really, in this problem right here. So step one, solve for one of the variables. Step two is going to be plug one of the variables into the other equation, because this is the other piece of information we have. So let's take x equals 8y plus 4, plug in the 8y plus 4 right there, okay, where x is y, because x equals 8y plus 4. We're trying to get one variable in one equation here. That's the goal. Okay, so we can solve for one. So negative 4 times this 8y plus 4. This is step two. 8y plus 4 plus the 8y equals 8. Okay. Now let's distribute the negative 4. Negative 4 times 8y is negative 32y. Negative 4 times 4 is negative 16, plus the 8y equals 8. Let's continue solving for y. All right. Negative 32y plus 8y. I'm going to combine those, and I'm going to get negative 24y minus 16 equals 8. Now I'm going to move over the 16, adding it to both sides, doing the opposite of what I see. Negative 24y equals 16 plus 8 is 24. So we're going to go negative 24y equals 24. And we've got to divide out the negative 24, and then y equals negative 1. Okay, well, that's cool. Now what we're going to do is just plug the y back into the more simple equation, and we have basically just rearranged this equation into what we have right here. So for our step 3, really what we're going to do is just plug this right here back into this one, because right there, because it's going to be easiest to find it that way, in my opinion. Find out what x would be, right? So let's do that over here, step 3. X equals 8 times the negative 1, which is y, right? Negative 1 plus the 4, x equals negative 8 plus 4, x equals negative 4. Okay, so now we have both variables. Now let's let's plug both of them into the second equation for step 4 and see if it's true. See if we get a true statement. So here's step 4, okay? Plug x in, so x was this right there, y was this, so negative 4x is negative 4 right there, and then y plus 8 times that negative 1 we solved for equals 8. Let's see if this is true by evaluating this left side. This is positive 16, and then this is negative 8. Is 16 minus 8 equal to 8? Yes, it is. So this is true, and if it's true, that means we got the correct answer. We got negative 1 for y and negative 4, and we're correct. Okay, so check is the step 4. This is a check, right? We're checking to see if our answers are correct.